Because we can't say we are reforming society and gender norms are being reformed when gender norms are only being reformed in one area, looking at the specific gender.
Exactly.
It's like, what reformation is this? So what up guys, welcome back. My name is Luke and guys, welcome back to Primal Spirit Distillery. I'm here with Chris and yeah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Table Talk. This is a very somber episode. I'm sure by now you guys would have heard of the passing of the hip hop icon, rapper, entrepreneur, fashion mogul, Riky Rick. Before we start, we want to send our condolences to his family, his friends, and everybody who was touched and impacted by him in any way. I think this conversation brings us back to the question of mental health in men.
It
right,
actually
Pat?
does, yeah. It does. It actually does, and the importance of it. And not only that, the need for men to be able to open up, be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I think we've spoken about this over and over again.
We have, and it's something that we've said a lot on our platform, is that we've advocated for men to speak up. Not just men, anybody to speak up, right? You've got a voice, so it's only right you should speak up, especially when it's got to do with your mental health. I don't want to say that there is a culture of silencing men so that they're not vulnerable, but if someone as influential as Riky Rick was affected by this kind of issue, then it does bring into question that fact that maybe a lot of men are not really encouraged to speak up and address these issues.
Yeah, implicitly so. There is a culture that somehow that has built up to this, to this point where we are at, where men shy away from being vulnerable, from expressing themselves. Because, well, the first thing is they won't be taken serious. The next thing is I need to put up, a front because I'm a man, I can't be vulnerable. Think about it. And worse, at this, at the level where he was at.
Exactly. I mean, and great point that you touched on there, Pat. The kind of person, the caliber of man that he was. I mean, isn't there a big misunderstanding that only people who aren't successful or who aren't making it in life suffer from depression? Haven't you heard that before?
Yeah, actually, I've heard a lot of time, because I think we have it. I think it's a misconception overall we have in society that, you know what, if I can get the best of this, I think I'll be happy. Like we somehow attach our happiness to, what can I say, our goals, our ideals. We attach our happiness to that. And oftentimes, and that's a misconception, of course, because oftentimes you will get that, but you are not exempted from life's difficulties. Because think about it, I mean, he's a star. We've seen over and over again. We're just early on, we were talking about Robert Williams.
Yeah, Robert Williams comes to mind. Patrick Shy, the actor, comes to mind.
Exactly, bro.
Countless other people come to
Double
mind.
HP.
Yeah, Double
comes
HP.
to mind as well.
The late Double HP.
Exactly. How is it that these individuals who are somehow untouchable still being affected? That's a question of, is it really gains, material gains and fame that bring content and happiness? No, of course not. And another thing is, are these individuals really exempted from difficulties, emotional, mental health? No, they're not really, because the humans, at the end of the day, you will still be affected by these things in one way or another. So yeah, again, I was just thinking about this because earlier on, someone was like, yeah, this is the reason I saw, like, oh no, this is the reason why they try to bring in gender.
Yeah.
You know? They say, oh no, women are not listening to man and all. Do you think this has anything to do with gender?
I don't think it's got anything to do with gender. Okay, I don't think gender plays too much of a role. Statistics might say otherwise, because according to, I'm even forgetting the source, but there was a statistic that said 37 out of 100,000 men in South Africa committed suicide in 2019. If you look at the same figure for women, it was 10 per 100,000. So 27 times more men are likely to commit suicide than women.
See?
Does gender have anything to do with it? Maybe a little bit, because there are gender roles that are assigned to men and women. The expectations, true. But I think maybe expectations is not the big picture here, right?
How so?
I think the big picture has to look at the humanity of people. Like, let's break down the fundamentals. The fact that they're a human being first and foremost, they have emotions. Gender is a very big thing these days, because I've always believed it's how you choose to identify yourself, right? And that's more prevalent these days. People can identify in so many different ways. I mean, there are so many different genders.
Okay,
Gender is
true.
just, it's more characteristic than a definite label.
But
from
the thing
someone.
is, based on those stats, bro, they were not really taking into consideration gender pronouns or other genders.
They weren't. Fair enough, they were not taking that into account. They were looking at, it was very much a bi-gender system, right?
Exactly,
it was very
yes.
much males and females. Males are more likely to commit suicide in South Africa than women. That's a fact, a documented fact.
Overall,
in general, right?
I think the last time we did speak again, we stated that it's actually 4 times overall globally.
Exactly.
Men are literally 4 times more likely to commit suicide than women.
Why do you think that? I mean, I think you asked me that question. Why do we think that is? Could it be expectations only?
Think about it, bro. I think it stems from expectations. Personally, I feel it stems from expectations. The fact that you are just a man says a lot.
Yeah.
It might not be said so. We might try and negate the fact that these stereotypes or expectations exist, but it's actually there. Not explicitly communicated, but implicitly said so. As a man, you are somehow, expected to follow certain, things, like a man should do this, a man should do that. And that puts a lot of pressure and responsibility on man. As a man, just you yourself as a man, you have those expectations already. And that causes a lot of pressure.
Exactly. Nobody needs to spell it out to you, hey?
No.
I mean, excellent points as well. As men, we kind of like have these expectations of ourselves already. Nobody needs to tell you that you've got to do A, B, C, D. You already have those. And then if you feel that as a man you're not meeting the mark, that could trigger some sort of emotional response.
It does.
Depression being one of them.
It does. Depression is, of course, depression. You have these nihilistic thoughts. You lose meaning, literally.
Exactly.
And not to say that you don't have the money. As a man, you might have the money and all this, but remember, everyone's expectations and ideal at every level, economical level, is different, because supposedly I earn about 100,000, right? At that level, my expectations are different, and failing to meet those expectations as a man will still cause depression. It's just economically I'm identified at a different level, because, bro, think about it again. We did speak about this. Just being in as much as, gender roles are not spelled out and said.
Yeah.
Just be in a group of men. Already that's competition, even though we don't say we are in a competition.
Deep down, we kind of know we're competing against each other. But then my point is, Pat, if we take a look at, let's look at away from the financial angle for a bit there, because that one, yeah, I think that's a definite one. But then do you think there's something deeper than just the financial strain? I mean, someone like a Riky Rick, you could say he was financially well off. I mean, we don't really know the ins and outs of his finances, but from what was perceived, it was clear that at that level of success, he was financially well off.
Compared to people who are below him.
Less, of course, that's relative, right? Compared to someone below him. Let's say compared to me, for example. But definitely, I mean, can we really argue for finances there? I mean, don't you think that there's another thing in terms of expectations as a man that maybe was lacking? I mean, in general, do you think for people who are at that level financially in their career or whatever, there could be another kind of expectation that as a man deep down, you think that you're not meeting up with? And if there is one, what do you think that is?
Okay, first one, I think there could be something still, because bro, this is a different level and it has become normal. And you find other people in this level. Not only that, you have other people above you that you are looking at. It can be a competition, because remember, he's in the music industry.
Of course.
And it's very competitive because you want to blow up internationally. That's another thing, bro. You want to become the best of producers. There's competition. We have new genres of music that are literally popping.
Exactly.
And you find that, hey, guess what? This route of music I've taken is not really successful. And I've been bumping into those. I literally can't go international. That becomes very frustrating, you know? And another thing can be the fact, bro, I feel like there's always dissatisfaction at every level.
Yeah, to an extent.
Yes, because you find there's new levels always. At every level you climb, you actually realize there's a new level I need to meet. And that can literally become so frustrating. To us, we see it as someone looking at Riky Rick's success, we're like, come on, the guy is so selfish because look how much he has, we don't have it. No, but at that level, what he has is actually normal, like to him. And he's playing within a league where there are big guys. He needs to, you know, it's always a competition. And yeah, you said, what was the question? Rephrase the second one.
If there is that thing that's missing apart from the finances, what do you think it could be? That as men in general, like, I mean, anybody, if you work hard enough, can elevate to that level of success, right? Just now you spoke about what he has. What about what he didn't have?
Don't you think, bro, at the end of the day, I personally feel like you will never have enough. I think it comes down to that. Even if he was, supposedly he was dissatisfied with the level of finances or the level of success or the level of fame he was at, right? At the end of it all, bro, trust me, even if he went higher, he blew up, he will still be dissatisfied. He will not be satisfied at all. There will still be that uneasiness. I think at the end of it all, what he lacked was just being content. Think about it. What do you think?
Contentment is a big thing. Personally, I do not like to think that it's because of anything material, right? No, or even like, I don't know, the pressure from the industry or whatever, because this is someone that was very well liked in the industry, well respected, not only here, but all over the world, right? The impact that he brought to not only music, but to fashion, to the creative industry as a whole was massive, right?
True.
This is an icon and he will be remembered as such for a very long period of time. But if you break him down to his bare bones, he's a human being. He's got insecurities, he's got emotional turmoil to some extent.
He does.
He's got some demons that he's fighting. And yes, those things are personal, right? Maybe that's why he wouldn't have been so comfortable to vocalize it. He did back in, I think it was last year, he was on 947, or back in 2020, where he spoke briefly about battling mental health and battling depression, right? So that just exposes who he is as a man. But then I'm thinking, perhaps the Riky Rick story can just point out that maybe one, contentment is a thing, right? Men in general find it difficult to be content, even define what contentment is as a man, right? What does it mean to be content outside the money and the lifestyle and the success?
It seems a bit easy to define that, but it's not easy also.
It's a bit hard, hey?
It's quite difficult.
A bit hard because now,
very difficult.
If you want to touch on contentment spiritually, contentment emotionally, that just becomes like a whole other thing, man. Like it's not easy to quantify. It's not easy to even qualify.
No, it's not.
What contentment is.
No, it's quite difficult. Then again, bro, let's go back to the fact that he's a socialite, right?
Yes, of course.
Don't you think, as such, right, being elevated to that level by society and being praised for being that, don't you think also that puts you in a position where you have to put up a front, a persona?
True.
There's that pressure.
There's the pressure, plus there's the expectation. You're an image. You represent more than just a person. You're not just a name. You are a voice. You are a symbol. You're a lot.
You can't be whining.
You can't. I mean, with that kind of, when you're put on that stage, you kind of have to portray the image that's given to you, right?
Yes.
And that, I think a lot of people in that industry probably do feel that way. I watched a documentary a while ago about Doja Cat, where she put her Instagram live about how she wasn't happy. She wasn't happy with the way her career was for some reason, where she put out that she hadn't like made music for fun, like just for the love of it in a long time. She was just fulfilling obligations at that point. You know what I'm saying? That could actually put into people's heads that a lot of these people deep down are not happy. Deep down, they are forced to be entertaining because that's what we expect from them. They need to entertain us. At the drop of a hat, they've got to be entertaining. There's cameras around them all the time. There's people following their every move. There's people who know everything about them. Do you know what I'm saying? That kind of pressure, man, I mean, don't you think that could also contribute to deteriorating mental health?
It does. Oh no, it does, bro. Because at the back of your mind, you need to make first of all, you're thinking about a fan base, right? Not only, first of all, you have to, if you're under a record label or whatsoever, you have to meet the obligation and the requirements of that record label.
Of the deal, yeah.
You're thinking about people, the fan base. Not only that, you are competing with your peers in the same industry.
I get you.
Bro, that is so much pressure. I can try and imagine the amount of pressure that is. I mean, just family expectations already puts a lot of pressure. No, self-expectations, let's start there. Self-expectation puts so much pressure on us. As men, we're not even looking at gender at this point. Just self-expectations. Then you have a label's expectation. Then you have your fan base expectation. Then you have to compete with your peers, bro. That I can imagine what socialites, our celebrities go through. I can just imagine. I can try and imagine, because worse, it takes time to write. Bro, I can, that writing, just coming up with something great takes time. So I can imagine the pressure to come up with the best of things, to come up with the best of music, to come up with the best of scripts, to come up with the best of shows, to come up with the best of performances. That is already a lot of pressure. We're not even taking into consideration the fact that you are a man and you have societal expectations. No, here every gender is included.
Exactly.
So, oh man, bro, nah, it's too much. It's too much.
It can really be a lot, man. It can really be a lot. I mean, as a young person, and I mean, somebody who's dabbling more or less in this industry, I mean, having a platform like YouTube, like Table Talk,
Bro.
what would you possibly tell somebody that is coming up on this journey? I mean, it's not fair to compare your, I won't say hardships, what you're going through with what people at that level are going through, because they're going through a lot, you know? I think what we can do as fans, as supporters of their music and stuff, is to show some kindness, you know what I'm saying? Like, really show some kindness. But then, as a young person coming up, to battle all of these demons that you possibly will face at some point, what advice do you think you could give to somebody that is thinking of coming onto a platform like that?
Yo, bro. I think for now, I think it's something that really works. I was talking to Kelvin about it, because I think I did tell you that story. I think I'm gonna do a whole short thingy on it, just telling that story. Yeah, it's a long story, but nevertheless, I've learned it's quite depressing. Yes, number one, it is really depressing, because just producing content back to back just tells me a lot already about what people at that level might be going through, because it's studio in, studio out, studio in, studio out, because that helps them put food on the table. I'm not really depending on this to put food on the table, maybe in the long run.
Yeah.
So I really don't have that much pressure in terms of money. Now imagine someone who's depending on their career, music career, or movie career, or whatsoever they do within this type of industry to put food on the table. Imagine the type of pressure they have, bro. That's a lot.
It's crazy.
That, bro,
I can only imagine.
That's a lot. I think the best solution to all this is, as individuals, as people around, you know, we need to create safe spaces for people to be vulnerable, more especially for men. I can speak to men. It applies to women as well, but more especially on a man's side, because there's so much expectation there. We need to create safe spaces for men to be vulnerable. Hence, we have Table Talk, where we can come and give our opinion without really being judged. You know, as we working on this event.
Exactly.
Because we wanted to create that platform where we're like, our opinion, how we feel, and how we perceive things, we can just lay it out, just like that. And another thing is, as individuals as well, we need to be willing to, you know, to be vulnerable.
Exactly.
And yeah, as individuals as well, we need to be willing to be vulnerable as well. Not only that, be willing to listen to people who are being vulnerable.
Absolutely, man. That hit home, because a lot of times we rush to speak. You know, somebody's gonna tell you something. Maybe they actually tell you how they feel or how something's going wrong, and you immediately wanna see how you can relate, and you wanna add your 2 cents to it, and you wanna, you know, create this story about how you would have handled it or stuff, when the proper thing to do would have been to listen. Just listen. Maybe that's what the person needed at the time. And especially as men, we ought to listen to one another. We really should. We really should. I mean, like, it's not to say every interaction with fellow men is about us trying to outdo each other or trying to compete or whatever. Yeah, we have moments where it's chilled. I mean, plenty of those. But how often do we actually listen to one another? How often do we actually sit down and digest what has been said by your fellow man and put it into perspective without trying to somehow relate and say something just to, you know, break the ice?
The question is, how many people really do that?
Especially as men, bro. Especially as men. Look, I hang out, like, you're my dude, bro. Like, we hang out, you know what I'm saying? You've seen how we are when we chill with our boys. Like, there's good vibes, there's laughter and stuff, but how many of those are genuine? How many of those smiles are genuine? How many of those smiles are like actually coming from with us, and it's not just because the situation dictates that we must smile? when was the last time we sat down with our homies and we're like, bro, like, let's cut the bullshit, you know what I'm saying? Like, how are you? How are you? Not just aware, bro, wagwan, and we leave it there. Nah, like, actually tell me what's up, you know? Let me be a listening ear. Talk to me, I'm your boy. How often I feel like...
Okay, it's quite rare.
It's rare. And why is it rare? It's because we are brought up in a way that makes it taboo for us to do that. We're brought up in a system that makes it like men talk about this and this and this and this and that. Funny how emotions, feelings, and all that other stuff is never part of it, bro.
Yes.
How we're supposed to be strong and we need to be, you know, and I've got nothing against that. You know, I've got nothing against that, but how often is it that, what if being a strong man means sitting your fellow man down and saying, I'm here, I want to listen, talk to me, be real. We don't need to laugh just because you're my boy, bro. Just like, talk to me, be real.
True. I mean, don't you think, I think we did speak about this, redefining societal norms.
Exactly.
Things that come off as normal, redefining them, because what we know as normal is not actually normal.
Normal is relative, mate.
Exactly. And yeah, it's just redefining. And I think we have to create safe spaces where people can actually be vulnerable. Not only that, we take it as an individual task that everyone, you should be able to be, you should be able to create, as an individual, just create that atmosphere around you where a person can be vulnerable. Because oftentimes as men, we are afraid, if I'm vulnerable, right, are they gonna take me serious? That's the thing. This is the first thing. Are they really gonna ridicule me? What if I'm vulnerable and I'm not given the solution I was supposed to be given? That's another thing.
What if I'm remembered for that moment of weakness? What if in people's minds that sticks? You know what I'm saying? That image sticks. The scared little boy that's coming to you for help.
See?
But why not, bro? Why can I not be taken serious by other men when I express how I feel? Why must there be a need for walls to be built everywhere that says, when I'm around you, I gotta act a certain type of way. I need to say a certain type of thing. I can't really be open.
Because generally, that's the implicit expectation. That's how it is.
In a world where norms are being broken, where to be normal has a completely different meaning than what it did flip 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago? In a world where there's constant change, why is that aspect so slow to change? Have you noticed that, Pat? Like,
no, it is.
That's the one, it's really, really, really dragging behind, bro.
If we have to talk about that, I know. If we have to talk about that, it now brings in gender.
It does.
Bro,
it goes back to the whole thing.
It goes back to gender, because if we talk about why is it that the expectations on man and what we call normal is not really being changed, there's no reformation in that area. Bro, you know that.
I know the answer to that question, very much so.
Exactly. Now they will say, oh no, you're being sexist, or you're actually being, exactly, but actually we should face it as well. Because that's the only way to fix things. Because we can't say we are reforming society and gender norms are being reformed when gender norms are only being reformed in one area, at looking at the specific gender.
Exactly.
It's like, what reformation is this?
Is it reformation at all?
It's not.
I would say not.
Then we call it biasness, is it?
Yeah, it's bias reform.
Double standard.
Absolutely. Bro, as men, we need to normalize this, and we must not stop at saying these things. It must not stop at us having a conversation on Table Talk about creating safe spaces. It cannot stop at reacting to the passing of Riky Rick and encouraging people to speak out about emotions and about how they feel. It cannot stop at a post, it cannot stop at an emoji. There needs to be real action being taken. Of course, that is individual to some extent. You can look at the collective. Maybe if you look at the collective in terms of stats, has the suicide rates in men gone down in a two-year period? If it has, good, then it means maybe we're having that. But on a personal level, how do we gauge that? How do we gauge the number of people that we've touched as a collective? If we're talking about men, we're talking